Hi guys, I don't know what I did. I thought I got into this the same way I did last time, and I'm sitting there by myself and I'm like, this is not correct. I must not be in the right place. So I finally found you, but I don't know. I don't know why technology doesn't like me, but anyway, I'm here.
Yeah, I was confused. I was thinking that maybe it's another link or something else.
I don't know. I have a
I was
shortcut on my
confused.
computer desktop that I typically just click on and it works. And so I don't know. You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, today is March the 9th. So this is the last time we will meet. Well, we will not meet next week due to spring break. Um, so, and I think I failed to get the test out there and let you know the password for it. Um, okay, Dylan is here. Drew, I did get your email, but I haven't sat down to do that. So I will extend that. That's a very weird thing that happened. I don't understand that. But um, so yeah, I'll get that extended for you so you have a chance to get those done. Okay. All right. I don't think anyone else has joined us. So we'll see if those other ones come in here at some point in time. Um, Okay. Your password, and I will put this in the announcements, but your password for your test is limited. It's all lowercase. It should work. My online class had some difficulties, so I was just double checking to make sure the password was correct. It should be, but if you have any problems, let me know. Did you guys have any problems or questions about Excel Module 3? Because I know it was a fun one.
I do have questions, but I don't know if they're too like vague to ask really. It's a weird question. Basically,
Okay.
I get the formulas, I get how to write it out, but I don't understand like how to retain the information. Does that make sense? So I memorize
Okay.
like how to write the formula, but I don't understand what it's for.
Okay. Yeah. And that is the thing that is very common for this course. What you need to know is that when you're writing formulas or using functions, that you need to start with an equal sign. If you're using a function, I would highly recommend always using the insert function button, or going up to the auto sum button and getting into the insert function dialog box that way. The reason that a lot of students have difficulty grasping the concept of why is this formula written the way it is written, what am I getting at here, is because we are not understanding the whole context of the project. So when we did the salary report for the 2-week period, if you've not had an accounting class recently, and you don't understand that federal taxes are figured a certain way and state taxes are figured a certain way, the multiplication, addition, those things that create that formula are given to you by the federal government and the state. And because we're not accountants, we're not doing the payroll, we don't have a good understanding of why that is the way it is. So what you need to get from this class is you need to know that you need to write a formula that begins with the equal sign. You need to put parentheses as needed so that the addition or subtraction is done first before the division or multiplication. So having a total understanding of why the formulas are written the way they are is not necessarily a skill that you need to get from taking this class. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that's actually the exact answer I needed, because some of them through the textbook module, I was like, okay, I can figure it out doing it like a backwards way on how to write the formula, but I didn't know what it was solving for. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then the thing that you probably should understand the most would be when it comes to doing functions, like when we did the average, min, and max. You need to understand that you're wanting the smallest item, or you're wanting an average, or like when we did the if statement. You do need to have the grasp. You need to grasp the understanding that you have the logical test, the value of true, the value of false. But as far as remembering how to exactly write them, that's why I suggest that you use the insert function dialog box anytime you're needing to do a function like the if statement or the min or max or something like that.
This one was a little bit more difficult for me than the other modules. This one, I don't know. I think it's just because there was so much going on with it, as opposed to like, okay, we're just doing basic math in the
Right.
other ones and figuring out the basics of the formulas. This one I feel like was a lot, and I'm just having trouble retaining it.
Yes, and this is one of the more challenging ones. I always think that Excel is the most difficult. Once we get into this module 3, it is the most difficult um, overall concepts that we do in this class. A lot of people think Access is more difficult, but I think it's just because they're going into it thinking, I don't know anything about Access, and so therefore it has to be the most difficult. But as far as skills that you learn, I think this module 3 of Excel is the most difficult skills and concepts that you will learn. If you have a good grasp of using the absolute reference versus the relative reference, that will help you with parts of this module 3. But if that's difficult for you to understand, then it really makes this module much more difficult for
That's
you.
exactly what I'm struggling with. So if I needed extra help, would I go for you, or should I check out tutoring?
You could do either one, but I can take a look at your assignment that you submitted and then give you some feedback on that.
Yeah, the
as
textbook
well.
one was not great. The one that is like the Word document instructions, that one I got down. That one I felt like was pretty easy to follow, but it's the textbook one I just didn't have enough broken down for me to where I understood it.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
just couldn't grasp it. I don't know why, but the other two were fine. I had no troubles with those, but it's just specifically from the textbook. I don't know if it was
Mhm.
just the visuals and stuff wasn't enough for me, or I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. How about any of the rest of you? Did you struggle with any parts of this module 3?
I think the language on the instructions confused me about the axis and all of that, the labels, and wasn't very clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I do think that the wording for a lot of the things in Excel could be made much clearer than they are. But I will just tell you right now, I'm not going out to write a textbook. So, but hopefully, if you and I am not really sure how to what kind of instructions to give you as far as viewing the textbook video that I post in Blackboard. As far as like skipping forward to a certain point, I don't know if you guys have any information on how that might be easy to do, but the best thing I could say is just to fast forward until you get to the point. But I would hope that those would be helpful to you, to just go to that specific part.
Do you have a way to break down the videos into like timestamps of specific instructions or anything?
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that, and maybe I will have time to do that this week since I already have the first two access modules done. Maybe I can figure out a way how to put like titles or subtitles or reference parts or whatever that you could go in and just click to that specific one. Um,
Like even if you wanted to do it in a roundabout way, maybe in like a video description, put like, hey, I talk about this, and then just put the timestamp and break it down into pieces. It doesn't have to like do any editing or anything.
yeah, I will see what I can do on that.
It's just the textbook part for this one. I wasn't able to follow it hardly at all. It was
Okay.
just, it was really hard to follow, at least for me. I mean, Christina said same thing, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any of the rest of you have any issues with this particular one? I wish I would have saved some of the videos, and I may not have been able to, but last semester, or maybe it was a previous version, maybe it was when we were still doing 2000 Word or Office 2016, that textbook had videos of, like, when you would get to the doing the if statement, it would have videos and break down how to do that. And they took those out of this updated version, and maybe they just don't have them done yet for the 2019 version, and that's something that they're looking to put in an update later on. But I do think those were helpful for some students. Did you have any problems with any of the training questions?
No, but that's just because they have the observe option too. So I can
Okay.
see it done and then just like go from there and practice it. But
Right.
I mean, I don't have that option with the textbook modules. And then
Correct.
plus the instructions can be on different pages than the actual picture. So then you have to
Yeah.
go back and then go through the table of contents, and it's really hard to keep up with. Like I have to have a scrap piece of paper next to me to figure out where I'm at.
Yeah, I have noticed that too, that some of the pictures or that they refer to, you do have to go back a couple pages. And I will tell you that will happen in this first set of Microsoft Access to this first module, because they're going to give you a table of data that we need to type in. And then we do part of it, and then we do part of it a little bit later on. So we're having to flip back to find that table that that we go to. But in your textbook, as you're going along, whenever it tells you to reference a table or a picture or whatever it's called, it should be a hyperlink. So when you click on it, when you see that blue word, it should, when you click on it, take you back to that. That might make it a little bit easier, but yeah, I understand, because when I've worked through these before, it will tell you, yeah, look at figure whatever, and you have to go back a few pages to find that. And sometimes it's more than one or two clicks. So I do see that, and I'm sure that they've probably heard that, but you can always contact the support and just say, hey, this is what I noticed, and it's very frustrating from a student standpoint. And because they will make some updates. It won't be anything that we'll see this semester, but they will take all of that information and do some updates for the future. So
Yeah, because I don't know if it's there's even a way to do it, but once you hit that hyperlink, you can't go right back to where you were. There's not like a little closeout button or anything. You have to find where you were at back in the table of contents.
oh yeah, okay.
So that's why I've been writing it down to the side, because once you click that image, you got to go find where you were at again.
Okay, so you can't just go forward a couple of pages.
You can go back page. No, I don't think you can go forward. I think you can go back, but I'd have to look at it now. But as far as I'm aware, you can't jump back and forth. And then plus, once you go to the page you were at with the instructions, it goes right back to the top. So say if you were halfway down, you got to remember
Yeah.
what step you were on.
Yeah. And that depends also a lot on your the size of your screen, your resolution, because how much you can see and how much you have to scroll and things like that. So there's not really even a good way for me to, say, oh, well, if you do this, because it may not be the exact same for each one. So okay. You also should be able to on some of those, like I just clicked on one that was on a separate page, and maybe they have it set up differently. Maybe they've got some of this corrected in Access. I don't know. But like when I click on in this first module, there's a couple of times it references table 1-3. And when I click on that, it just pops it up out to the side. And so when I close out of that screen, then I'm back right where I was. So maybe it just didn't do that in Access, or I mean in Excel. I don't know, but I was trying to see here if I could get it to do where I was looking at clicked on a link, and it took me all the way out of it. But I'm not coming across anything other than going back to a table, and it shows me the entire table, and then I can click out of it. So I don't know, but I'll go back and look at Access Module 3 and see if I can recreate what you're telling me, and then I might check and see if other instructors have had that same issue. So yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else that you guys want to talk about before we get going here on Access?
About the test, so is everything is gonna be ready, or we're gonna have access to the test tonight?
Yes, and I apologize. Let me see. Um, cancel that.
Where is the test located again?
If you go down to the bottom, like you see Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, Outlook, and then there's an exams folder down there. So it looks like it was available on the 7th at 5 p.m. So it should be available to you. You guys just didn't know the password. So yeah, it should already be available to you. All right. So in Access, this first module, there is going to be probably more reading in this module than there has been in most of our other modules that we've gone through. So you probably will want to take some more time than you normally do to read through some of the sections of this, to kind of get a better understanding of actually what a database is and why it's useful, what we're going to be creating. I always kind of refer to, I tell students, a database is kind of like a phone book or a yellow pages, but it's in a table format. So it's easy to search it electronically, but it stores information like the company name, the company address, the company phone number. And then, so that would be like one table. And then you might, like for our customers, if we are supplying them with a product, we would include those pieces of information as well. As you'll see as we work through this, the business will not only have the customers that it keeps track of, but it also will keep track of its employees. So we will have salespeople that we keep track of how much they are paid. If they are paid strictly by a salary, if they are paid a commission, how much that is, and then that's all figured by the payroll people. But you'll see as we create this that we create a couple of different tables that store this type of information. Databases are a lot of times referred to as relational databases, and that term is just used to show that two or more tables can be related to each other. So we're going to have it used to be called the customers table. So we're going to have an owners table, we're going to have a patients table, and we're going to have appointments table, and then some of these other tables. And so the ones that are related to each other are going to have a common denominator or a common field or a common piece of the puzzle. So that's going to be how they are related to each other. You'll read more about relational databases, I think towards the end of this module, but you'll see as we create our tables that anytime you see a field in one table and then you see that same field in another table, that will let you know that there can be a relationship between those two tables. And I guess, they use the term relationship, but you can kind of think as they're related to each other because they have a field that matches up. But the term that they use is a relational database, or yes. So we're going to be working with something that looks like tables. So we're going to have rows and we're going to have columns, just like we did in Excel. The data that is contained in a row is referred to as a record, because that is going to be all of the data that refers to a specific customer or a specific owner or a specific salesperson, or that's all of that information belongs to that one person. So one record goes across the row. The columns that we have in each table are called fields. If you have ever completed a form on the website, and I used to use the example when you'd sign up for a Hotmail account or whatever, but you will have to put in your first name, your last name. You always have that address line 1, address line 2, and then address line 3 in case you can't get it all on there. So each piece of that information or that information that they're asking has to be what's called a separate field. So we have a column for each of those different parts. The other thing you need to keep in mind about tables is you have to have one field be what is called our unique identifier. It's also referred to as your primary key field. A primary key field is the field that your table will be sorted by automatically. You can sort your tables in additional ways, but by default, that's how Access will sort your table, is based on that primary key field. That is also called your unique identifier. And the reason that we refer to both of those is to me, it's easier to think of it as a unique identifier, because what that's going to allow you to do is search in that specific field, and you will not have any duplicate data in that specific field. So for instance, for MCC, we all have either an employee number or a student number that identifies us specifically, and no one else is going to have that same number. So for the government, it would be like your social security number. There's not supposed to be two people that have the same social security number. So that's going to be the unique identifier. When it comes down to if you are going to be creating your own database and you're going to be creating like the different products that you have to offer, or if you're keeping track of inventory, you have to have a way to identify each piece of that inventory that you have uniquely, so that when you search for it or you see how much you have, or if you get below a certain number, it will reorder for you, or alert you that an reorder needs to be made. So you have to have a good understanding of which particular field you need to have as your unique identifier when you're creating your own fields or your own tables. Now, for what we're going to be doing here, all of our tables are going to be given to us. We're not going to have to create them and come up with field names or anything like that. We will be creating a table and we will have to type in field names, but we don't have to come up with them from scratch like you might if you are going to be doing some IT work where you might be creating databases for people. Your textbook does give you information about naming fields, and there are certain criteria. You can only have so many characters. You can't use some of the characters that Access uses as special characters, like your / or asterisk or things like that. And so you'll read about that as you're working through your textbook project here. Let me open up my Access here so you guys can kind of take a look at that. Okay, you guys have been used to having that yellow bar that says enable. I don't know, whatever the yellow bar is, I can't remember what it says. You will have to make sure you click where it says enable and not just hit the X. Sometimes I found students just have been hitting the X to close out of that yellow bar. You need to make sure that you click the link that says enable editing, or I can't remember what it says. I already clicked out of it. Because there are certain parts of Access that won't be available to you if you don't click that link in there. So just make sure that you do that as you're working through your projects here. Okay, so let me go in here and I'm going to share my screen so we can start looking at Access. All right, so I want to show you the Access screen. So you still have your title bar, you still have your quick access toolbar up here, and your minimize, maximize, restore, close. You still have your ribbon here, although you'll see a lot of different things that you have not seen before. It will look kind of foreign to you. You'll have your workspace down here, and your textbook will give you specific names for all of these. I'm just going to kind of go by memory. So you'll have your workspace here where you're going to be doing most of your stuff. You'll see tables, forms, anything that we work with will be in this area. When you open up your textbook project or your projects that you download, they will have, this is called a form. So this tells us that this is our textbook project information, and it just gives you a little bit of information here. It tells you that you want to start in the section that's called to modify the primary key that's on page AC10. A lot of people just have gotten the habit of closing out of this. They don't pay any attention to this. They don't do the reading. And so then they are like, okay, well, now where do I go? What do I do? Well, this is what I have open. So if I go up here to the grading info table, what's that? How do I see what that information is? So I will try to explain this area to you. This section that you see on the left-hand side, this is called your navigation pane. In Access, all of the pieces that we include in our database are referred to as objects. So if I move this over here, it will show you that right now I am viewing all Access objects. So everything that is available in this database is what you see here. You have the SAM textbook project information, which is this form that we're looking at here. If I close out of that by using the X that's here next to the little tab, now there is nothing available. I'm not viewing anything in my workspace here. If I want to view the grading info table, I have to double click on it and then it will open up. And this is just where you'll see the, I just call them serial numbers that they assign to each of your individual projects that you download and submit. You need to make sure that you have this grading info table. If you don't have this grading info table, that means that you have started from scratch, from a blank database as your instructions are given in your textbook, but not as the instructions that are given for our MindTap part of our textbook, because we always start with the start file from our MindTap web page there. So if you don't have this grading info table, you will not get a grade returned to you. Well, let me say that again. You will receive a grade for your assignment. You will not see a grade report. So you won't know what you got correct and what you got incorrect. And I don't see what you got correct and incorrect. All I get is a grade reported. So there's no way for you to be able to go back and say, oh, I need to make a change in step 7 or whatever. So you have to make sure that you download the start file from MindTap to do all of your Access projects. Now, the other thing about Access, well, because it just now popped into my brain, is if you are using the Office 365, you are not going to have access to Access. So you'll have to find a way to be able to get the Access program. The schools do have computer labs that are open. I think you will probably need to contact each school individually. I'm sure they all have different schedules that where there is somebody covering that. Last semester, they tried to have it at Longview. They tried to have it open Monday through Friday, and I think they had some Saturday hours. And I believe they have limited that even more because people weren't using it because they weren't on campus. So it wasn't getting used like it normally does. But they do have some hours. You'll just have to check with each individual school that you're closest to for those. And you can do that at the MCC website and search for your computer labs and you'll find that. So other than that, I don't know. And I don't think that, well, used to you couldn't use Macs for anything Access, but I'm not sure about that. I would have to check each assignment individually and see for sure on that. All right, so let me, I'm going to close out of this database that we have. So you'll notice that I closed out of the database, but I still have access opened. And I want to show you what it's going to look like if you create a new database from scratch. And the reason I like to do this is because if you are in a situation where you're needing to create from scratch, you're not going to have a start file that pulls up with the information that we have. So I'll just go to the file to take us to this backstage view. And then if I go into new, you're typically going to start with a blank database. So once you have that selected, another reason I like to show this to you is because when you create this new blank database, you have to give it a file name, or it will just be called database 1, and you have to assign it a location to be saved to. And the reason that you have to do this is because as we type data into Access, the data is always being saved. So when we type in a record, that data is automatically saved in our database. And because of that, we have to have a location that we're saving to. So you would want to browse, go to, your G drive or H drive or whatever drive your company is using that you would need to save your stuff to. I have a folder here somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Oh, maybe mine's on the desktop there. So I would just navigate to my folder. I want my spring stuff here. And then, I don't know. I'm sure there's a different name for it. But if I said textbook project 1, then it would save into my spring 2021 folder. And then I know I can come back and get that. So once you have it named and the location, then you would just do create. And I don't know, I'm supposed to update this. Now this is my update one. So I'm just going to close out of that one with the X for now. Because I created this from scratch, I don't have that yellow bar that comes up that asks me to enable. That is only shown up when you're using a downloaded file. So you won't see that if you do a create all on your own. So you will see here, because I created this from scratch by using the new blank document, there is a generic table 1 here, but there's not that grading table that you need to identify you and to have to create a report for you for your project. So if you don't see that, if this is what you're looking at, then you know you have started incorrectly and you need to go back and get your downloaded file to start. Okay. So rest of the window, so we have our objects here. You can double click your object. It will open it over here in your workspace. We will be using 2 main views. Right now, we are in what is called Datasheet view. If you look at the view button that's on the far left-hand side here, you will see that it has a triangle, a ruler, and a pencil. If you see that icon, that means that if you click the view button, you are going to be going into what's called design view. You also have the option of using the drop-down arrow, and I have a lot of students that like to do that because they want to see that, yes, I am going to the design view. So you can use the drop-down arrow and change to design view. It's going to make me give the table a name here, so I'm just going to call it table 1, which is the default. So now I am in what's called design view, and this is where you can go to set up the structure of your table. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. I just want to show you where the view table, or where the view button is, and let you know that you're going to be using those quite a bit. Now, right now, we only have the design view and the data sheet view. There will be times where you see some other views, like when we get into making a report, you'll see that you have a report view. You also have a layout view. So you'll see the different views, and there's not a whole lot. There's like 4, I think, that we have 4 or 5 different ones. We'll just pop back over to data sheet view. You will, I think it's not until module 3 that they show you that you can make adjustments to the navigation pane over here. So right now we have it set that by default, it should be set that you're going to be viewing, your navigation pane is going to be split up by the different object types. And then you can filter it by just showing the tables, just showing the queries, the forms, or the reports. But right now, because I have all access objects, you'll see that the little check mark is by that. This navigation pane can be closed using what's called this shutter button here. So if you see that double arrow, you can make that go away. If you're using a smaller screen, like on a laptop or something, this is very handy to know that you can do that. So you can just close it and then open it back up when you need to go to a different part. The other thing I wanted to tell you about views, I almost forgot, is when you're opening an object, you can, if you double click on a table, it's going to automatically open up into Datasheet view. You can right click on your table in that navigation pane, and you can choose design view. So if you know you're going to need to be working in design view, there's no reason to double click it and open it in Datasheet view and then have to switch to design view. So you can do that, but this is a way that gets you directly to that design view if you're needing to do some work in that design view. If you are in the design view and you make changes to the structure of the table, if we add fields, if we once we get fields put in, there's field properties down here. We can make changes to this. Any changes that you make in design view are not saved automatically. What is saved automatically is data that is entered into tables that we have created. So when you're changing the structure of a table and you, so let me go here and just change this to a short text instead of auto number. So now if I try to go back to my datasheet view, or I try to close my table or get out of here in any way, it's going to tell me that I first must save the table. And I like to point this out to students because I do tell you that it saves automatically. And then you get this and you're like, well, I thought she said everything saves automatically. Data that is entered saves automatically. Structural changes do not save automatically. So we do have to say yes to this, and then it will go ahead and take us to that other view that we're wanting to see. Okay, let me minimize this and look back at our textbook. This part here, the 1-3A, steps you through all the different parts of the screen that you'll see in Access. This next few pages just give you information like when you're naming a table, the name can be up to 64 characters in length. It can have your letters, digits, spaces, but it cannot have a period, exclamation point, the accent grave, or square brackets. But all of your other characters it can have. So I'm not going to read through all of those, but that's just what you'll see here in these next few pages about creating tables, naming tables. So this is where it starts giving you information whenever you create a table, like you just saw me do. It will automatically give you a field that is called the ID field. The ID field is always what is called an auto number field. On our next page here in our textbook, it shows you the different data types that we have. And you don't see it there, but one data type is the auto number field. And every Access file that you open up for our work that we do here will have a field that is the auto number field. And you are going to have to make sure that you change that field's data type from the auto number field to one of these other data types. Typically, it's a short text. That is what probably 99% of our fields are going to be, is a short text data type. The data type just tells you exactly that. What type of data are you going to have in this particular field? So short text can be up to 255 characters. That's not necessarily short text in my book, but that is according to Access. If you have the long text, which I don't think is shown here, you have a lot more room to put stuff in there. Number fields. Some people think things like social security numbers, telephone numbers that are all numeric values should be number data types. But what you need to remember about number data types is this is for doing arithmetic operations only. So if you're going to be doing any type of mathematical operations with data that you have in a column or in a particular field, you need to make sure that field's data type is set to number. Currency is another one that's all numeric values. But when we have something that's currency, we may use it as calculation, we may not. But by setting something to currency data type, it will put in the dollar signs for you. It will put in commas if needed, and it will put in those 2 decimal places. So you want to make sure you get that currency field. The date and time field is exactly what it says. It will show your date and time if you want it to. So some additional ones, data types that you can see here. We will be working with calculated data types. If you take the advanced course, the 215 course, you will use the attachment, the hyperlink, some of these other ones. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind there. I don't think we need to pay attention to that by the way thing here. So, all right, so here is naming your files, things that you cannot use. All right, so we are going to create a table in Datasheet view. And so I'll show you how that you can create a table in Datasheet view. When I first learned Excel or first learned Access, you could not create a table unless you were in design view. That's the only place you could create it. So I am kind of biased in that that's the only way I like to create tables, but you can do it both ways now. So I'll show you how to do that. It does talk about the word caption there. We are going to have field names, but sometimes those field names are very long field names, but the data that is stored in that field is much shorter. So we can kind of give that field name what's called a caption or an alias, that field name will then be, so let's say that we have a field name that's called customer ID. So we've typed out the word customer ID, but maybe the customer ID is only 3 characters. So we can adjust the field name to just be an abbreviation like CUST ID or something like that. So you can make some adjustments. The actual field name is still going to be customer ID. The caption is what will show up in your forms or your reports or things like that. And so it will be the abbreviated version to make sure that it's easier to see everything on our screen and we don't have a bunch of white blank space in our tables as we're typing information in. Okay, table 1-3. This is one that we're going to have to come back to quite frequently. If you remember what the design view of a table looked like, you might see that it looks similar to this. So we had the first column that has our field name, and we had the auto number field there. The second column has your data type. Then the third column had your description. So I skipped the field size. The field size is located in the field properties. So in our access, if I go over here to design view, so this was set to the auto number field. I changed it to short text. When you are in a particular field, the field properties show up at the bottom portion of this window. And so that's where you can change your field size. And I'll go through all of this when I go through creating the table. So, but that's where your field size will be found, is in that properties at the bottom of that window. So we are going to create a field called owner ID, owner first name, owner last name, owner street, owner city. I don't know why they have to keep typing owner in, but we do have to keep typing owner in. And then if I make this just a little bit bigger so we can see all of it, maybe. So after our postal code, our home number, we're going to add the mobile phone and an email address. So those are all of the fields that we will have in our first table. The description that you see over here only applies to the owner ID field. The description field, or the description portion of our design, is optional typically, but for you guys it is not optional, because Sam will count off if you do not have the description information in the table where it asks you to have it. So the information over here tells you that the owner ID field will be our primary key field. The description is, we will type in unique identifier of pet owner. Now, I don't know that you can see this on my screen, but that is not a sentence. So there is not a period at the end. I point that out because spelling, again, is going to be a big issue. And grammar, I guess, because this is not a complete sentence, or we're just saving it as a comment or a description in this case, the period is not there. So make sure you don't include the period. The caption is, we can go into the table properties to change that. There's other ways that when we get ready to create the table that we can do that as well. Okay, so I can show you guys all of that as we go through and do that. Good heavens, I am getting lots of wind here. Can you guys hear my wind howling in my background? maybe, I don't know, I lost all of you guys. Oh, here, maybe if I make this bigger. Oh, there, now I can see.
Sounds like a tea kettle.
Yes. So, okay. Let me go ahead and I'll just go ahead and open up this blank database that we downloaded. So this is what you've downloaded from the Mine tab. And again, because I just opened this back up, it's asking me to do an update. I have to close everything out to do this update. So I'm just going to click on the X over here to get rid of that. Since I already had this opened up, it didn't get that enable editing yellow bar this time. So all right, I need to find my textbook here, and I need to make that smaller so I can see it. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a table in design view. I'm sorry, in Datasheet view. So we'll first learn how to create a table in Datasheet view, and then I'll show you how you can do it in design view. So when I get ready to start this module 1, I will want to have that table, it's called table 1-3, that has the structure of the owner's table. So to create this table, I will go to my Create tab, and then I want to create a table. Now, anytime you create a brand new table, like you see here, it has that ID field that is the automatic field. This field is an auto number field. And what you're going to do is you're going to make adjustments to this ID field to give it the field name owner ID and to make it a short text instead of an auto number data type. So to edit the field name here from ID to owner ID, there's a couple of ways that you can go about doing this. So I can click here on name and caption, and where it says name, it's called ID. I could type in owner ID here. While I'm here, I could type in the caption that they want, O_ID. I will tell you, in this textbook, they do a lot of underscoring for your field names. You don't have to do that, but I have come to learn from talking to IT people that if you can keep it as one unit, so therefore that's why they have the O_ID, because then that's one unit as opposed to being O_ID. I don't understand, I don't know why, but it makes their database workings go smoother, I guess. So I could change my name here, I could change the caption here, and then my description that I have to type in, which is a unique identifier of pet owner, I can type in here too. This, again, spelling is very important. So make sure you type this all in correctly. All right, I'll go ahead and do my caption while I'm here, which is capital O_ID. I'm going to say okay to that. So I've changed the name and I have given it a description. I'm sorry, I changed the caption. What I did not do is change the name of this. I probably should have done the renaming first. So let me see. Okay. There will be times where you have the ability to use your undo button up here. Not very many times will you see it available to you. if you have done something and you're like, oh, shoot, that's not what I wanted to do, what you would have to do is physically go back, and I was in my name and caption here, and take your caption out so that this is showing up as the ID field. For me, that's what I wanted, so it looks like yours would whenever you're first starting this. So you can change the field name by clicking on that ID field, and you'll get the option to come down and rename the field. So this is one way that you could do it. Also, the other way that I was just at where I showed you. So instead of just being ID, we're going to call this owner ID, and notice that there is a space here in this field name. So I have the name changed. Now, while I am still in this, oh, I have to hit tab or something to set that as the new ID field. Now, once I come back and I click on the owner ID field again, you will notice that you have options up here, not very many, but you have the data type is set to auto number. Anytime you create a new table, it's going to have this field already put in. What we're going to do, because we don't want to keep that auto number field, is we're going to change this from auto number to short text. So we've kept this field, we've just made modifications to it, so it's all totally different. So you might be thinking, well, technically, could I just get rid of that column? You could if you want to. So while you have this owner ID column selected, when it comes in as owner, you could delete that entire column and then just create a new one. I can't imagine that would cause a problem with Sam doing it that way. All right, so when you do need to change the caption, you're going to do it up here in the name and caption, just like I showed you before. So we'll do O underscore ID. To change your data type, you will do it here. This is also where you could change your field size versus being in the design view and having to go down to the field properties. So right here, I want my field size of my owner ID to be 5. I can change that right here. And then the other thing is I need this field to be the primary key field, which it already is, but okay, so that must be this check mark over here that says unique. So you have to have that checked. I will show you another way that you can change the field to be a unique identifier also. All right, so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating your table based or from this data sheet view. So I've got my first field updated as they want me to. Where it says click to add, that's where I will click to add a second field name, which in this case is going to be owner space first space name. And I know that I want that to be a short text field. So from the beginning, I'm going to call this a short text field. Then you'll see this black field 1 show up. You do not have to delete it. You do not have to backspace it. It's highlighted, which is why you see it in black. And so we can just start typing our first field name here, or I guess our second field name. So it's owner first name. If you click right below that, you may have to, when you click below it, it probably will go over here to the first column, and then you'll need to make sure you click back in the second column, because you have in your table, this table here, the 1-3, it tells you right here you want short text and you want a 50, a field size of 50 for this particular field. So where we have the owner first name, if we click down below it, you'll be able to change your field size right here to 50. And because when we put it in a short text, it's already set to short text. If for some reason when you put it in, you didn't get short text, you got something else, then you'll need to change that here. All right, so then you're just going to go ahead and add the rest of these. If I can type. So they have you click below it and then click below it a second time. This field size is going to be 50 and it should be for short text. This will be owner street. And this is also going to be field size. They leave this at 255. All right, so let me go ahead. Well, I'll just type these all in real quick. Oops, I have to get an owner city, and this is going to be 50. And this will be the state is just going to be 2, a field size of 2. And then we have our owner postal code. And this is going to be only 5 digits because if you can make your field size be exactly what your data entry is going to be, it's going to help cut down on data entry errors. Okay, so put one more in. This is home phone. That is also going to be short text. And the field size is 25. The owner postal code, it looks, what did I forget there? Oh, the field size should be 9, not 5, because it's a zip plus 4 is what it's allowing for there. So home phone number is 25, it's short text. Then we have the mobile phone, which is short text. And it is 25 characters. And then the last field that we'll put in here is the email address. Maybe not, because I just changed that too. We'll delete that and we'll try again. Okay, so we're going to do short text, and this is email address. And that is going to be 50. All right, so all of our fields should have short text as their data type. I have all of my fields that I have created showing in my table. So if I want to review this, I could click back on each one of these, make sure I have all the changes up here. But if you're creating from scratch, you won't have that necessarily to go back and look at in a piece of paper like we do from our textbook. So you'll need to make notes somewhere that you want your field size to be whatever size for each of the fields that you're going to be creating. If I take you over to what is called design view, maybe, oh, it's going to make me save my table. So What am I supposed to save this as? I think it's called owner table. I'll just call it owner table for right now. All right, so when we're in design view, this is where I was telling you that this looks more like the table that I looked at to get my data for this. So my field names are all in that first column. My data types are in the second column. My descriptions, if I need any, are over in the third column. So that's what you're seeing here. This may look long to you, but that's just because we're used to seeing it across. And so now we're seeing them all individually, one right after the other. So if you need to double check, you're in owner ID. This is your unique identifier of the pet owner or pet owner. This also needed to have a field size of 5. And this was a this was the auto number. That was the field name of this, which was automatically the primary key field. And if you look to the left of this owner ID, you will see that there's a little key there. You'll also notice up here in your tools section that there is a primary key button that is grayed out. And that means that the primary key has already been selected for this field. Now, remember, primary keys is only one field in a table that you want as your unique identifier. So if I click on any of the rest of these, you will notice that none of them are set to be the primary key. And there's a reason for that. So if you need to change your primary key, you can click on it, remove it, find the next record or the next field that you want to be your primary key field and mark it with that key icon. All right. I'm going to have to skip forward here and find my place. All right, I'm going to skip through here. Checking my structure in design view, and that's what I'm doing. Oh, I know what I forgot to tell you. Owner ID, this field properties section down here, you used to be able to. You could adjust it, and maybe you can't anymore, but I could bring this up here. And I like to do that in the classroom because it moves stuff up from the bottom of the screen so you can see see it a little bit better. Okay, so what you need to know is down here in the field properties, which there, I clicked on lookup instead of general. So should be set to general. And then as you go down from each one of these, this is how you can double check your accuracy of the data that you have put in as far as what are the requirements of each of these. So owner state has 2, postal code has 9, and so on. Okay. So that's how you can create in Datasheet view, but do a double check in design view to make sure you have everything you want. The property sheet over here, we'll talk more about, but if it pops up and it's a bother to you, you can always just click the X on it and it'll go away and you won't see it unless you know how to bring it back up. So, okay, this is, I don't need this one. So I'm going to close out of that. All right, so the next thing that they show you how to do is add records to this table. And I will just tell you, in your reports, you are probably going to get counted off for not having data in this table. And that is because when you type 460 West Pioneer Road, you press a space bar after you've typed the word row. Maybe you've transposed postal codes. Look and see what you can fix and make those changes. But if you have an extra space in there somewhere, good luck finding it. A lot of times those are going to be at the end of a field, and so you probably won't even know they're there, and they're not going to make any difference in the outcome of your database. It's just Sam isn't going to like it because it's not exactly 100% like it's supposed to be. So to enter our data, we do have to be in Datasheet view. So we'll click back over here onto Datasheet view, maybe. Because I made some changes of some kind here. I don't remember what I changed, but I did change something. So you have to say okay and then head out to the table. So as you are ready to put data in the table, they give you a picture here in the textbook. So your ID is there. Oh, okay. It's a 0-1. And then you put in the first and last name. .460 West Pioneer Road. Okay, when you get to the phone number, you can type it in as one huge long number. Access is going to recognize it, except for I don't think I typed that one in right. 719-239-23, good grief, 231-4411. All right, so when I press the tab key, it's not set to do that. So you may have to hit your hyphen in there. You can set it up so that it automatically puts in the phone number format with the commas, or I'm sorry, the parentheses and then the dashes. So it's not set up like that for now. So we will just have to type in 719-888-735. All right. And then the email address is TSABUS something. I don't know. Cengage.com. All right, so let me look back here in our textbook. They have you enter two pieces of information. So this one and the one for Stephen. And then they have you close out of this and then go in and see if you have any spelling errors and update it. So I'm going to skip through those pages. The next section of your textbook takes you through making changes to the data. So this is just going in and saying, oh, I have the wrong phone number, I have the wrong address, I have the wrong whatever. So they show you how to use these navigation buttons. Maybe. All right, well, I don't know if you guys can see down here at the bottom. It says record, and then it has the arrow keys, the one in the middle. it shows you what record you're on of how many records. The first arrow back to the left takes you to the previous record. The next one that has the arrow with the line takes you back to record number 1. And so vice versa over here, you go to the next one, and then you go to the sum of them. Or I mean to the very last one, the very end one, the very last record. I'll get it straight here. All right, so that's how you can navigate using what's called those navigation buttons. I don't use those a whole lot, mainly because the databases we work with are not big enough to necessarily use all of those. So that is why. Okay. Resizing columns, just like we did in Access. Let me make this bigger. So you can see that we don't see all of these field names here. So you can double click. It will expand those to the size that you need them to be. You'll want to make sure that you resize after you've done any data entry or any changes you've made. Then you're going to want to resize, because if you resize the owner ID field before you change it to O_ID, then it's only going to be as short as owner ID. So you have to make sure you wait until you get those changed, and then you can resize your columns. You're not going to have the click and resize to a certain number. You're just going to be able to double click and automatically adjust them to the widest thing. Okay. All right. So let me go on, and then the next steps show you how to create your table in Design View. So you're going to be creating the patient ID. And so it is going to look, yeah. So here we are. This is Design View. Your patient ID field is going to be called just ID, and that is a field that's going to have the data type of auto number, and you're going to have to change it to short text. You'll add the rest of these field names and the rest of the data types. Once you have that done, it talks about correcting errors in your structure, so you guys will want to make sure you read through that. And then you are going to enter data for the patient data. So you see that there's 3 patients here of information that you're going to enter. So you'll do the patient ID is C-1. You can press your tab key, move over to the patient name, tab again, what type of animal it is. And it's not just cat and dog. I don't know why they can't just have cats and dogs, but they have to have felines or canines. And then what kind of breed it is, and then the owner ID. So you'll be typing that information into the second table that you create. And I showed you what the design view looks like. So here we created by clicking on where it says click to add. And then we made the changes. We made it and then, so once you have, oops, I think I clicked on, yeah. So you've made those changes, you come back we can go back to Design View. This is what it will look like when you're creating that second table. You're just going to go right from here. So make sure that you're in the line to put the field name. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Over here, I have a lot of students that where it says click to add title, they don't click there. They click right underneath here, and this is where they put I don't know, I'll just call it phone number. Okay, well, that is not a field name. That is data in a record for Mr. Sabas. Okay, I lost his first name somewhere. I don't know what I did with that. I got rid of it somehow. So, so here I put this field 1 in, and so now you'll see that it's just labeled field 1 instead of phone number. So if you see that happen, you'll need to come back here, and then you can, whoops, you got to do the right click and then rename the field, and then make sure you get the field, where'd it go? The field data type and size correct. Okay, and like I said, you're going to be creating your second one in design view, so you can do that all on that one page. Down here in your field properties is where you'll change your field size. All right, guys, I know this is taking a little bit longer than we normally take, so all right, so they have you close your table, and then they have you open your table back up and make all these adjustments to it and add data. Oh, no, you don't add data. Once you have it, your table set up, you are going to import the files. And that is your support file that came with when we downloaded our textbook project. Here. Oops, gotta go back. So we downloaded our start file here, and then this is the support file. You're going to use that support file to import all of the information for that second table. So I need to come here. All right, so let me close out of this. Sure. So to create your table in design view, you'll do create table, and then you're going to switch from datasheet view. And you'll notice that your view button, datasheet view, from datasheet view to design view, is not available on all of your tabs up here. So you can just start clicking and see when you find the one that has the tool you're looking for. And I know it's on the home ribbon, so it's always there. So here I'm in datasheet view. I'll click over to design view, and this is, I don't know what you name this table to. And so here you will change this to whatever that first field is, and then make sure you change the data type. Those should all be, let me find my book here. I forgot what I was going to say. Those should all be. All right, so you need to have your table set up with let me get back here to it. So you're going to create the table that has the field names in it and the sizes and all of that. Then you will come back here, and then we're going to import that supplemental file that we had. So close out of that. I want to close out of that. And then what you're going to do is you have to go to external data. And guys, this step is not easy to remember how to do. So you might want to mark in your textbook where you're at page-wise so you know where to come back to. So we are going to choose get external data, and then we're going to make sure we import it. We do not want to export it. We're not taking something from Access out of. We're putting stuff in. So we're going to click on New Source, and then we're going to do From File. And then, well, it said it was Access file, but it's not. It's an Excel file. So this is where you will specify the source of the definition. So what you're actually doing here is you're finding that downloaded document. So you can browse, and then you will see your list of files where you'll have to navigate. Mine's probably in downloads here, so or not. Did I go in downloads or did I go? Maybe I put it on here. I don't know where I put it. I thought it would be in my downloads. Maybe I have it reversed or something here. Okay. Well, I don't know where it is, but it should be. So anyway, you're going to browse, you're going to find that document, and then you will add it. To here. Oh, good grief. I want to keep that file. All right, so let me see if I can make it happen now. I don't know. Oh, cancel that. Import the source into a new, but I'm not finding my source. I want to find my source. None of that is what I'm wanting. So, all right. Well, let me see if I can find it this way. Oh, that's because it's saying an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, I don't know why this didn't download as an Excel spreadsheet. So, oh, probably here. So I will do this. There, that now maybe I'll be able to find it. Yeah, so here's my support file. All right, just have to get it the right way. So let me back up for those of you that didn't see that. All right, so we have to go to new data source. And I think the thing that was throwing me is when you see it, it has a green icon by it, but it is an access database file. So you, instead of choosing from file, you have to choose from database and then choose access. And then you will be able to, or for me anyway, nope, it's in downloads. So I'll come here, I'll find my support file, and I will open it. All right, so this is what I want you to see. You want to import tables, queries, forms, reports into the current database. So that's the one you want selected. You'll click OK. Now, you are going to want to click all the tables. I don't think there's any of these other ones, but you can import these other things as well. So you have all those selected, and then you'll click OK. And you are sometimes asked to save import steps. what you do when you save import steps is you have specific info to put here. And I think this time they might want punctuation. So double check that. Make sure you type it exactly as they want you to. And then you will have to do save import steps, so that if you ever have to import tables again, you have it saved and you can do it. In my opinion, you're probably not going to do it frequently enough that you need to save that, and you can just do them as you need to. Okay, so there we've got our stuff imported. All right, let me go back to my textbook if I can find it. Okay, I'm going to go over here. Okay, so here we did the importing our table. Now, in your homework, you, I think, are going to choose a different option here. And I can't remember. But so just, they should give you a picture of it in your instructions if it's going to be different. But make sure you also read the details here and get the correct option selected. So this just takes you through how to finish that and how to save your steps. They may not have you do that anymore. I can't remember, but all right. So the next part of this, you're going to be creating other objects. So you're going to create a query. You're going to create a form, and you're going to create a report. And those are fairly easy steps, and just follow the directions for that. But I will show you how to get there initially. The last part here talks about backup and recovery. You will be asked to go into the backstage view and the save as, but somewhere on there is also this compact and repair, and you'll want to make sure you do that. The only time I've had issues with students not being able to upload files, besides the file name being incorrect, is that their file size was too large. So you probably don't pay any attention, but you get 3 green check marks when you submit something, and one of those things is it's virus free and the file size is okay, and I can't remember what the other one was. Maybe it's the file name is spelled correctly. So it will be able to grade this. So make sure that you do that compact and repair. And then, this is just some additional things that you can do. All right, so let me just come back here and show you what you're going to do to create your forms is you can have the table that you're creating, you're going to create the form or the report from. You can have it selected, and then when you come up to create, so let's say I want to create a form. Because I have veterinarian selected, it's going to, voila, create a form based on the veterinary's table. So if you were supposed to do it on the owner's table, now you have a veterinary form that you don't need. If you have more stuff than you need, it shouldn't be a problem. The problem will come where if it's looking for your items, that your objects that you should have in here, and they're not spelled correctly, it won't find them. So much like when you were doing Excel and you didn't get the sheet tab name correctly, if you don't have the table saved with the correct file name, or the form or the report saved correctly, it won't locate them at all, and you won't get a score for any of any of that stuff. So if for some reason you get the veterinarian's table and it's not supposed to be, you can right click this and just delete the entire form, and it's no big deal. Okay. So that's how you create a form. Create a query by using the query wizard. This will take you step by step through it. You're going to create a simple query, and then if it is based on the appointments table, you're good because that's what you had selected. If it's not, let's say that it's based on the owner table, you'll have to change that here and then move over the single items that you want for this particular query. You'll read more about queries. Module 2 is all about queries. Basically, it's a weird word for we're asking a question of the database. We want to pull out specific pieces of information based on what we put in our query. So I want to pull out these pieces of information. These are not correct, so don't follow this because I'm just guessing here. Then you will want to give it a title. Sam will again grade this. If you don't have it saved exactly correct, it will get counted off. And then you'll usually just want to open it where you can view it. So this is what the form will look like. Because it is based on the owner's table, and I probably only have one owner in there because that's all I typed in there. We're just going to see one piece of information. So now you will see in your navigation pane over here, not only do I have these tables that I created and imported, but I also have a new query that I just created. And I would have had that form, but I deleted it. So you can go into the owner table query. This is the datasheet view of that, so you can see what the information looks like. You can also always go back to, we have to go to, okay, so it looks like we can only go to the home one from here to get back to our design view. So don't let this scare you. You don't want to go to the design view of this right now, but we'll learn more about that next week. But if you made a mistake, you can go there and change that. And you can play around with that if you want to, but don't feel like you have to go and do that. So the last thing you're going to do is create a report. And again, you're going to use this report wizard. So just make sure you have the correct table, that you use the correct fields. If you're going to use all fields, you can use this double arrow, which will put everything over there. And then you will make sure you read through these, because this is asking if you want to add any grouping levels. So if you want to group by state, then it would put all the states together. So let's say that you group by state. And then if you want to have any other sorting, so let's say that I want to sort on the city field in ascending order. So it's going to divvy them up into states, and then in each state, it will have the cities listed in alphabetical order. Again, I don't know what the textbook is asking you to do here. I'm just showing you what you can do. These are, you can look through the different examples of this, the stepped, the block, or the outline. Use the one that you're supposed to use. And then this is where you'll have to give it the correct file or the correct name of that particular object. So in this case, it's a report. I'm just going to leave it like this for now. And then when I click finish, this is what my report will look like. So I have that it's from Colorado, and then I only have one person right now because I haven't put everything in that I'm supposed to have in. So that is how to create your forms, your queries, and your reports. So, all right. And then that's the end. So like I said, there's a lot more reading in this one, just to kind of give you a better grasp of what databases are, how they work. You will have to do some data entry, but then you're going to import those tables also. I know that I didn't really follow the textbook. I kind of skipped around and stuff, but if you need to watch the textbook project that I put up, I do go step by step through it from the beginning to the end. So that will probably be better, but this just kind of gives you, especially the last part of this, just a brief overview of it. But hopefully that is helpful. Hopefully you'll be able to work on these projects this week without much issue. I did say that they're due Monday, but I think I did that so you guys wouldn't have anything to do over spring break. But I think I will just go ahead and extend the access stuff to be due that following week before we come back on what is it? So it'll be the 23rd. So I can make it due on the 22nd. So in case you guys need to spread some things out there, you can. The test will be available. I'll probably go ahead and leave it to be due by next Monday, the 15th, which is what I originally said it would be due. So you can at least get the Excel stuff done and out of your way. And then if you need to work on the access stuff the following week, you can do that. Okay, let me stop sharing this. Okay. Questions? You're just too overwhelmed, aren't you? Okay. So I will try to calm any feelings of I'm never going to get access. Once you kind of take your own time and go through it and see what it's all about, I think you'll find that what you just did in Module 3 of Excel was a lot tougher than what you're going to do here in these 3 modules of Access. I do have Access Module 1 and 2 textbook project already posted in Blackboard if you want to go through and look at those. I will try to find a way to tag different spots in those videos so you can go to that specific time in the video to see what you're wanting to get some help with. And I will make an announcement in Blackboard that has the password for your test. It is limited, but I do want to make sure it's in writing somewhere so that you guys can refer back to that if needed when you get ready to take that test. As always, I can always do a Zoom with you guys if you just let me know when's a good time to get that set up. I can also FaceTime on my phone, which I've done with a couple of students before. So we can reverse it and I can see your screen and then you could see my screen or whatever. So if that works for you, feel free to set up a time with me to do that. But also, once you guys have submitted your assignments, you can say, hey, I'm not understanding why I missed this. Can you take a look at it? I usually take a look at it and I either can type back instructions to say, well, click here, go here, do this. And one person, I did a little video and sent to him, and actually I ended up sending it to 2 different people and they were like, oh, that was so helpful. So I can also do that too. Just put together a short little video and send that to you to help you get through a specific step or section of your project that you're working on. So, all right, any other questions that you have?
No, right now.
Not right now? Okay. Well, I do know
No,
that I
I'm
took a
guessing
little
that
bit longer.
I'm gonna have,
Oh, what is that?
No, I'm guessing that I'm gonna have questions while I'm doing the project, so
Oh,
but
yeah.
not right now.
Okay. Yeah. And if you're working and you have a set time that you can set to work, I did realize when I started class tonight that my phone's been on silent all day, which is why I never heard it doing anything today. So I try to keep it on. I was in a meeting last night and I forgot to turn it back on after I got out of there. So, but I do have my phone typically with me while I'm out here in the shop working. And if you call me, I make it a point to get to a computer and help you. If you just text me, sometimes I don't always see that or hear that right away because I may leave my phone up in the front and I'm in the back or whatever. So, and I will try to call you back if I see you called and I missed a call. But it's also a good idea to leave a message and say, hey, I'm only going to be here for 30 more minutes. So if you don't get this message, then I'm not going to be able to be at my computer and have you help me. So just any information you can give me, like when kids were able to go to a lab and went to a lab frequently, they would say, I'm in the lab till 2 o'clock or whatever. So call or text me before then. But regardless, I will always try to reply in some way, whether it's with an email or a text message or something. So I know that you guys might have some questions on this, so feel free to contact me as necessary, okay?
Thank you.
All right. And I will get that announcement posted with the password for the textbook. So, but if anybody wants it, it is limited, and that way you can get started on it if you want to do that tonight, but you don't have to. So, all right. Well, I will see you guys next week unless I hear from you with any questions. Okay.
I'm just going to stay after for a moment to.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So I know you got my email.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a very odd transaction or phone call because it turns out someone, not me, had purchased a subscription for me on October 19th. And that subscription had worn out or expired like yesterday.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the subscription that I'd purchased at the beginning of class on the 5th of January, I never activated it.
Huh.
So yeah, I figured that out this morning and activated it. So now I have access to Cengage until like the middle of July.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, there you go. So, okay. Well, I'm glad you got that straightened out, but that is very odd. Sometimes in the past, we have had the 18-digit or 16-digit code that you have to put in. Sometimes those have been duplicated, and so somebody's already used it, and the next person can't use it. But that's not what happened here. So it's just very odd. But yeah, I'm glad you got it straightened out.
I've even checked all my credit cards and bank accounts. Like, there is no charge from the 19th of October.
Wow. That's odd.
Yeah. Even the representative was very confused as how that happened also.
Yeah.
So.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm glad they were getting it worked out. I was hating for you to have to go through. I would not have paid, and I would have fought with you. I would have called our local rep to not have you have to make another payment. So we would have got it worked out for you, but I'm glad they were working with you.
Yeah, at least it only took an extra day.
Yeah.
That leads me to my next thing is usually Monday nights are the times that I sit down and I do the assignments.
Yeah.
Because tonight and tomorrow I usually take the time for my other classes.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. I was trying to get that in this morning into the afternoon, so this way I could have it in before class tonight, but I don't exactly know if I'm going to have the time frame to be able to finish
Okay.
those
Okay.
tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure it's extended enough that you'll have plenty of time. And if I don't, then just let me know, and I can adjust it for you.
I can guarantee that it will be finished by Thursday evening.
Okay.
So I just try to keep a set schedule with what I do.
You have to when you're doing all online stuff and working and have a family, and you have to do that. So yeah, I understand that. So
Okay.
I'll get that set up for you.
All right. Well, I thank you very much for working with me.
Sure,
and
not a
through this
problem.
really odd transaction or whatever.
Yeah, really
you wanna call it.
was. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good evening, and I'll go and get that stuff all set up.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, have yourself
right,
a good
you're
evening.
Bye.
Bye.